Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, a warm welcome to Heart Failure Complex, the confluence of clinicians and researchers caring heart failure. This is actually the curtain raiser for HFAI 2021 Virtual, which is the annual conference of the Heart Failure Association of India, which we formed in 2014. As we have seen recently, India is slowly emerging as one of the leaders in the field of biotechnology, as we have seen in the case of COVID vaccine. So at this juncture, we felt that it is high time to have combined meeting of basic scientists, researchers, administrators, and clinicians who are working in heart failure. This is the first time since 2014 we are having such a meeting with the Heart Failure Association. The meeting is done with the Center of Excellence of ICMR established at Sri Chitra Institute and at the Indian section of International Academy of Cardiovascular Sciences. We thank all the faculty who agreed to and the delegates who have joined in. At present, we have around 200 delegates participating in this meeting. Thanks to all of them. I hope we will have fruitful deliberations, which will give rise to at least a few academic collaborations at the end of the meeting. Then we feel that the meeting will be successful. With these few words, I invite Professor C.C. Karta to introduce the keynote speaker, Professor Chandrabas Narayana, who is the director of Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology, Trivandrum. Thank you.
Dear friends, it's indeed a privilege to have Professor Chandrabas Narayana with us here today. Professor Chandrabas is one of those rare scientists who has transcended disciplinary limits for pursuits in translational research. Professor Chandrabas was the chairman of Chemistry and Physics Unit, Physics of Materials Unit and Dean Research and Development at Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research at Bangalore, where actually he pioneered to exploit Raman spectroscopy for drug target identification and also invention of diagnostic methods. He has several patents in these areas, and his work is published in very high impact journals such as Nature, Cell Press journals, PNAS, Physical Review Letters, and Anguate Chemie, etc. He is also an expert in the use of synchrotron. As you know, synchrotron has applications in medical applications such as medical imaging, particle therapy, and radiometry. And Dr. Chandrabas is a coordinator of two major synchrotron projects of India in collaboration with countries like Japan and Germany. Dr. Chandrabas has won several awards from professional societies like Material Society of India, Chemical Research Society of India, and from the Karnataka government. He is an elected fellow of Science Academies of India and Royal Society of Chemistry. He is associated with several institutions, both in India and abroad, and also in the member of the editorial boards of very prestigious journals. So it's with great delight that I welcome Professor Chandrabas Narayana, who is currently the director of Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology at Trivandrum. Welcome, Professor Chandrabas.
Thank you, Professor Karta. I should thank Professor Karta and Dr. Harikrishnan to have invited me for giving this lecture. And I am really privileged to be called in for such a august audience. And it would be my pleasure to share some of the activities of RGCB and what I would like to do in heart failure in coming into RGCB. So this is something where I'm going to actually motivate people to think of using the techniques which I use in collaboration. So this is also an opportunity for me to showcase that. So one of the aspects which RGCB is doing has a cardiovascular disease biology group here, which is looking at diabetics, type 2 diabetics by Abdul Jalil, who is looking at the epidemiology and metabolic adaptations in type 2 diabetics. Then we have Rakesh Laisram, who is actually looking at non-coding RNA and untranslated RNA in hypertrophy and heart failure. We have Surya Ramchandran, who is actually looking at atherosclerosis, which is basically looking at markers and targets. Sumi S is looking at arteriovenous malfunctioning. She is looking at molecular signatures in varicose veins and brain arteriovenous malfunctioning. A recent addition to our group is Anantalakshmi Sundararaman, who is actually looking at angiogenesis, and she's actually interested in mechanisms of angiogenesis and role of RHO GT phase in these activities. Recently, we had so I should tell that Professor Karta is the reason we have this cardiovascular group at RGCB. He is the founder of this group itself here. I would like to thank him once again for that. Recently, we started looking at what could be the joint work which this group can do. And I asked them to brainstorm and tell me what would be the way forward. And they came out with this possible next 5 years plan for this group. They are going to look at heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. As you know, this is one of the most important research now people are actually interested in. In this, they looked at their expertise and they came out with a possible first phase of finding biomarkers, discovery, and programs. Here, they would actually have a two-prong attack where they are actually looking at metabolic and lipid abnormalities and use mass spectrometry-based lipidomic and biolomics in circulating blood as well as tissues. Try to find out qualitatively non-targeted as well as quantitatively targeted markers. This is what one of the approach would be. And the other one would be to look at altered profiles of non-coding RNAs and untranslated RNA species in specific pathways of heart failures. This is one first phase. In the second phase, they are going for pathophysiological and mechanistic program. Here, they would like to generate an animal model for better recapitulate and complex molecular events occurring in the pathogenesis of heart failure, to evaluate mechanisms of systemic inflammations and oxidative stress, no signaling metabolic changes, and skeletal muscle metabolism in pathophysiology of heart failure. The other thing which they would like to do is diastolic shear stress induced epigenetic reprogramming in myocardial remodeling. Then they also are interested in looking at mechanosensing and delineating pathways which regulate mitochondrial dysfunction under increasing stiffness of the myocardium. Then the third phase, which would be to do drug discovery program. And in this, they would actually look at systems biology approach to access pleiotropic drug targets. They will also look at animal models and to study utility of pleiotropic drug targets. So this is something which our group, and I wanted to just showcase this because many of them are going to speak in this conference. And I wanted to say that there is a strong interest, and we are looking forward to collaboration from Srichitra very strongly, and also from other people who would be interested in joining in this effort. Now, I actually wanted to tell you that there is a need for finding out new diagnostic methods for heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. This is where I come in, and I wanted to just give a quick prelude to what can be done. In fact, I use a light technique, which is very beautiful because it's looking at the scattering of light. which generally is the reason we see each other. And that scattering is generally elastic. That means no change in color. But if you filter out, you would also find there is a shifted frequency which comes in, which is very, very important because it gives you a molecular picture about what is the material which is actually scattering. And that's the reason why this becomes a very important tool. And generally, if you do a dispersion of this, you would see that there are certain specific lines of light which comes out of this. And these are very specific to the molecule. And here I took a tetrahedral molecule. And you can see that these vibrations are so unique that they can be used as fingerprint of the molecule itself. This is very important because they actually depend on how the coordination is. And they are very, very, these numbers are very unique, and they are like barcoding can be also done in this case. In fact, Raman spectroscopy has been used for atherosclerosis, where plaque formation can be looked at because it is very easy to see a normal artery. This is ex vivo. And here you can see that these Raman spectra is dominated by collagen and elastin and actin. Whereas when you have lipid-rich plaque, there are very distinct changes happening in the spectra. And if you have calcification, that means you have calcium hydroxypyrite and proteins, then you can see a very distinct change. So you can actually find out in micron level where these plaque formations are happening, and that's something which we can actually do. Now, today, Raman spectrometer has actually been brought down to a probe level that you can even use it for doing a skin testing. So you can see it has been miniaturized, and you can actually see this is a working model which is existing in the labs, and people are actually making it now. It's easy to make them because it's fiber-based. You can see the skin. This is a breast cancer test. Here, now we can actually get this Raman signatures automated. So you can see the dotted line, dots are the real spectra, while the lines are the real spectra, and the dots are the actual simulated spectra because we have recorded many times. So you can see that normal breast tissue samples can be easily identified. Similarly, fibrocystic changes can be identified. You can see very subtle variations happening with fibrodoma and infiltrating carcinoma. You can see very subtle variations, and this now can be done using AIs, and you can actually image them very easily. Now, this is the imaging of a myocardial infarction, which you can see HE stain and AZAN stains done, and you can compare that, and you can see that you can see the non-infracted and infracted regions in the Raman. These are for two different patients, and you can actually see that it is very easy to detect using Raman, and Raman imaging is possible now. So these are techniques which we can now bring in, and it is not difficult to do. And the main thing is to work with a clinician and to actually do it live. These are actually tissue. This is a human heart tissue which has been taken and done on the these have been done on that. You can see this is the imaging section which has been used for this study. Now, we have actually developed this into a diagnostic tool. And this is a thing which is there in my lab. And we have been actually now looking for partners for making it available. The advantage of such a system is that you can put a 96 well plate or 396 well plate, and you can actually do a diagnostic studies just like what you do with many other techniques. So you don't really have a problem now of using these kinds of things for diagnostics. Now, an example of how we can use it for diagnostics for a marker, because this is one of the techniques where multiplexing is possible, and multiplexing is done here. This is demonstrated here. You can see that there are three markers which we are using for the myocardia, for the heart failure. So here you can see that you have three markers which you can put it in a serum. And you now use another technique in Raman, which is called the surface enhanced Raman, where nanoparticles enhance the signal of the Raman, which is actually decorated with antibodies, which are specific to specific antigens here. And these are actually bound there, and the flow they come in. And here there are another set of antibodies which are very specific to these markers. Once they are actually tagged in, you can actually get this Raman signal at very, very low concentrations, which are much lower than that. And you have three bands of three different markers. And here is the control line, which shows that your flow is correct. If this line is not showing it, that means the control is not there. So you can actually see the presence of these controls. This is a live set which we can do. So you can see that here we have taken two of them in a specific concentration and then change the concentration of the myo. And in that, you can see the concentration dependent study. Here, you can't visibly see it, but here you can actually record the Raman and you can see the concentrations. At very, very low concentrations, you can actually detect them. So similarly, you can do it for any of them. So the multiplexing is very, very easy in these cases, and we can actually detect it at very, very low concentrations. And there is no need of actually doing, it can be done outside in a histopathology lab. We can actually do these tests because it's like a microscope setup. Anybody can look at it and you can do these things. I would like to stop here. I hope I have just taken 15 minutes. Thank you very much for your attention. And I hope I have excited people that there is a possibility of looking at Raman as an option for most of the heart diseases.
Thank you, Professor Chandrabas Narayanan. That is indeed a very impressive, inspiring, and very didactic presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrabas, for that wonderful presentation. And we hope to collaborate with you with this so much ideas which you have put forward. So there are so many researchers and clinicians here. Now we have around 280 delegates. I think they must have heard your presentation, and I think some collaborations will form after this. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to that. Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Now we will go to the first topic of session 1, that is transcriptomics in heart failure. That will be by Dr. Regala Kumaraswamy from CCMB, Hyderabad. Over to Dr. Kumaraswamy.